For decades, the image of African trade was painfully clear. Long lines of trucks, sometimes stretching for miles, stuck at border crossings, tangled in a web of red tape. Progress was measured in days, not hours. It was a picture of friction, of delay, of immense potential, just sitting there, lost in transit. But what if the future of Africa's economy isn't on a highway at all? What if it's right here, in the palm of your hand? A groundbreaking agreement is set to unleash the world's next giant digital economy, and it's being built by a new generation of African innovators. This isn't just another story about tech adoption. It's the story of a continent of 1.4 billion people systematically dismantling its colonial-era economic fragmentation and rewriting its own destiny. This is how the African Continental Free Trade Area's digital trade protocol is set to change everything, moving commerce from the back of a truck to the speed of light. Section 1. The problem: a continent of walls. To grasp how radical this change is, you first have to understand the paradox that has defined Africa for a century. Here you have a continent of 1.4 billion people, home to the youngest population on Earth, bursting with talent, energy, and a rapidly growing middle class. And yet, for all that potential, Africa has been a continent of economic islands. The numbers tell a surprising and frustrating story. For years, trade between African countries has hovered at a mere 15 to 18% of the continent's total trade. Compare that to Europe, where intra-continental trade is nearly 70%, or Asia, where it's close to 60%. The reasons for this are a complex inheritance of colonial infrastructure and post-colonial policy. Roads and railways were often built not to connect African neighbors, but to extract resources to ports. This created a bizarre reality. For an African entrepreneur, it has often been easier and cheaper to do business with Europe or China than with a country right next door. Imagine you're a small business owner in Accra, Ghana. You design beautiful leather goods and you've got a potential customer in Lagos, Nigeria, just an hour's flight away. But selling to them has been a logistical and financial nightmare. First, you're facing a complex web of different regulations, tariffs, and non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff barriers, things like slow customs procedures, import quotas, and restrictive licenses, are estimated to increase the cost of trade within Africa by a staggering 283%. The paperwork alone is a mountain, often requiring expensive clearing agents to navigate. Then there's the payment problem. Your customer in Nigeria wants to pay in Naira, but you need cedis. That transaction would probably have to be routed through a correspondent bank in New York or London, using a foreign currency like the US dollar. This process doesn't just add delays, it adds significant costs. Sending money within sub-Saharan Africa is the most expensive in the world, with average costs hitting nearly 9% of the transaction value, compared to a global average of just over 6%. These currency conversion and transfer fees are estimated to cost the continent over $5 billion every year. This friction has stifled growth. It's not just about goods at a border, it's about services, data, and ideas being trapped within national lines. For the small and medium-sized enterprises, the MSMEs that make up over 90% of all businesses on the continent and 80% of its jobs, these barriers are often just too high. They don't have the resources to navigate 54 different sets of rules, 54 different tax laws, and 42 different currencies. This fragmentation created a paradox of plenty. A continent with immense human capital couldn't fully tap into its own market. It was a market of 1.4 billion people on paper, but in reality, it was a collection of smaller, disconnected economies. It's held African companies back from scaling up, creating jobs, and building Pan-African brands. This is the old story of African trade, and it's a story that is finally, decisively, coming to an end. What do you think is the biggest barrier holding back trade in Africa today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Section 2. The Catalyst, the Digital Golden Key. The first tremor of this economic earthquake was the African Continental Free Trade Area, or AfCFTA. The plan was audacious: create the largest free trade area in the world by population, a single market for goods and services across all 55 member states of the African Union. The goal is to eliminate tariffs on 90% of goods and reduce barriers to trade in services. But while the AfCFTA laid the foundation, it needed a crucial component to supercharge it for the 21st century. And that's where the African Continental Free Trade Area's Digital Trade Protocol comes in. Adopted in February 2024, this protocol isn't just another policy document. It's the official rulebook for a new, unified African digital marketplace. It's the key designed to unlock a digital economy that is projected to grow from over $30 billion in 2025 to more than $62 billion by 2030, with some long-term estimates projecting a value as high as $712 billion by 2050. So what does this protocol actually do? At its core, it tackles those historical barriers head-on. First, it aims to harmonize digital trade regulations across the continent. Instead of 54 different rulebooks for e-commerce, data privacy, and online consumer protection, the protocol creates a single, predictable framework that immediately lowers the cost and complexity for any business looking to operate across borders. A startup in Kenya will no longer need a team of lawyers just to figure out the data protection laws in Nigeria. The goal is a seamless environment where digital goods and services flow freely. A cornerstone of this is the commitment to eliminate customs duties on electronic transmissions. This means digital products like software, e-books, streaming services, and architectural designs can be traded across Africa without tariffs, making them cheaper and more accessible for over 1 billion consumers. The protocol also pushes to digitize trade procedures, replacing stacks of paper with efficient electronic systems for things like invoicing and contracts. This directly attacks those costly delays at physical borders, moving trade from the back of a truck to the speed of light. But maybe the most revolutionary part is how it addresses the money. The protocol provides the legal framework for interoperable cross-border digital payment systems. This is where initiatives like the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, or PAPSS, come alive. Developed by AfCFTA, PAPSS is a financial market infrastructure that enables instant, cross-border payments in local African currencies. No more rounding payments through New York or London. A customer in Zambia can pay for a service from a company in Rwanda using Zambian kwacha, and the Rwandan company gets paid in Rwandan francs, almost instantly. It sounds simple, but it's a radical shift that's expected to save the continent over $5 billion a year in transaction costs alone. By late 2025, the PAPSS network had already expanded to 19 countries, connecting over 150 commercial banks and laying the groundwork for a truly integrated payment system. The protocol also establishes clear rules for data governance, personal data protection, and cybersecurity. For a digital economy to work, people need to trust it. The protocol mandates that countries adopt data protection and cybersecurity laws, which is crucial given that as of 2024, only 33 of 54 African nations had such laws in place. It even looks to the future with provisions to support emerging tech like AI and fintech. In essence, this protocol is the blueprint for a single African digital market, empowering businesses to reach 1 billion consumers without needing a physical presence everywhere.
Policies and protocols can feel abstract. Their real impact comes to life in the stories of the people they empower. The real heroes of this transformation are the millions of young, innovative African entrepreneurs now being handed the tools to build continent-spanning businesses from their laptops. Let's imagine one of them. Meet Amina, a fashion designer in Lagos with a brand called Lagos Threads. For years, she's been selling her vibrant, modern African print dresses through Instagram. Her designs are a hit, and she gets inquiries from all over the continent: Nairobi, Accra, Johannesburg. But fulfilling those orders was a constant headache. A customer in Kenya would have to pay via an expensive international wire transfer, often losing a significant chunk to fees. Amina would then have to navigate a maze of customs declarations, with the dress sometimes getting stuck at the border for weeks. It was so difficult and costly, she often had to say no to potential customers. Now, with the new digital framework, things are different. The Kenyan customer finds her e-commerce site, perhaps hosted on a Pan-African platform like PanAfric, and pays instantly in Kenyan shillings through a gateway connected to the PAPSS network. Amina receives the full amount in Nigerian naira moments later with minimal fees. Because customs procedures are now digital and standardized under the AfCFTA, the shipment is cleared electronically before it even arrives. A process that once took weeks and ate into our profits now takes just a few days. The protocol has effectively erased the border for her. Amina is no longer just a Nigerian designer, she's an African brand. Or consider David and his team, founders of a fintech startup in Kigali called Shamba Tech. They've developed an app that helps small-scale farmers manage their finances, get weather alerts, and access market price information. It's been a huge success in Rwanda, but they've always dreamed bigger, seeing a need for their solution in neighboring Tanzania, Uganda, and beyond. In the past, expansion would have meant setting up new legal entities in each country and facing huge hurdles with data hosting rules. Some countries have data localization laws that would have required them to build expensive server infrastructure in each new market. The Digital Trade Protocol changes their entire roadmap. Harmonized rules on data governance and cross-border data flows mean they can operate across multiple countries while complying with a single set of standards. This reduces their legal costs and allows them to use cloud services efficiently. Their app, which started in a small Kigali office, is now empowering farmers across East and South Africa, scaling rapidly in a way that was previously unimaginable. These aren't just fantasies. They are the tangible outcomes the protocol is designed to create. It's about empowering women-led businesses, which have historically received a disproportionately small share of investment funding. It's about enabling a software developer in Cairo to sell her product in Cape Town without friction. With micro, small, and medium enterprises making up over 90% of African businesses, this protocol is their lifeline to a market of over 1 billion people. When you multiply stories like Amina's and David's by the million, they ignite a fire that transforms an entire continent's economy. This isn't just a small step forward, it's a catalyst for a profound structural shift. The numbers behind this transformation are staggering. Africa's digital transformation market was valued at around $30 billion in 2025 and is projected to more than double to over $63 billion by 2030. Some estimates suggest the broader digital payments economy could reach $1.5 trillion by 2030. The full implementation of the AfCFTA, supercharged by the digital protocol, is expected to boost intra-African trade by over 50%, with some projections as high as 109% for manufactured goods. This creates integrated regional value chains, where a car might be assembled in South Africa with leather seats from Nigeria, copper wiring from Zambia, and software from Kenya. Think of the job creation. On a continent where hundreds of millions of young people are entering the workforce, the digital economy is a critical engine for employment. The growth of e-commerce, fintech, and digital services will create new roles for software developers, digital marketers, cybersecurity analysts, and logistics managers. While exact numbers are hard to predict, the World Bank suggests that the full realization of the AfCFTA's goals could lift 50 million people out of extreme poverty and create millions of higher-paid, better-quality jobs. By investing in digital skills, Africa can turn its youth dividend into a massive economic advantage. This digital revolution is also deeply inclusive. The protocol explicitly calls for promoting the participation of women, youth, and rural communities. Digital platforms and mobile money have already been instrumental in bringing financial services to millions, particularly women. With internet penetration in Africa growing rapidly from 30% in 2020 to an estimated 50% in 2025, more people are being connected than ever before. By lowering the barriers to entry, an online marketplace allows a female artisan in a remote village to access a continental customer base, an opportunity that was unthinkable a generation ago. Challenges certainly remain. Every member state has to ratify and then implement these rules into their national laws, a process that takes time and political will. there are still significant infrastructure deficits to overcome, from expanding reliable internet access to improving logistics. And there are gaps in digital literacy that need to be addressed. But the political will is there. The message from leaders across the continent is clear. The digital trade agenda is irreversible. What we're witnessing is a pivotal moment in global economic history. For the first time, an entire continent is coming together to build a unified digital market on their own terms. This isn't about Africa trying to catch up to the rest of the world. In many ways, like the pioneering of mobile money, Africa has been leading the way. This is about leapfrogging old, inefficient economic models and creating a new paradigm for growth, driven by technology and the relentless ingenuity of its people. The AfCFTA Digital Trade Protocol is more than a trade agreement. It's a declaration of intent. It's a commitment to a future where an entrepreneur's ambition is limited only by their imagination, not by the border next door. It's a future where African solutions solve African problems and then scale to solve global ones. The story of Africa in the 21st century is still being written, but the plot has taken a dramatic, exciting turn. The physical and bureaucratic walls that divided the continent for a century are coming down, and in their place, digital bridges are being built, connecting businesses, people, and ideas in a network of unprecedented opportunity. The world's next giant digital economy isn't just being built, it's being built in Africa, by Africans, for Africans. And that is a transformation that will redefine the global economic landscape for generations to come. The message is clear. The time to pay attention to Africa is now. If you were inspired by this story of transformation, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the future of the global economy. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And let us know in the comments, what part of this digital revolution excites you the most?